Hello again. As you know, I am Eli the computer guy. I have Texas the corgi and Tonto the corgi, and this is the Daily Blob talk show. So this is the 2-hour talk show where I try to talk to you guys about what is going on in the real world of technology. You guys are going off to schools and colleges and vocational programs, self-studying for certificates, and you're doing a bang-up job learning things like Active Directory, but sadly, most of you are doing a piss-poor job of learning things like how to, in fact, get employed and how to get ahead in life and how to start a consultancy and basically how to make money. You know how to technically do the stuff, you just don't exactly know how to make cash, cold hard cash doing the stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do here with these daily blobs. So the daily blobs are separated into 3 components. The first component is a topical subject, something that is going on currently in the world of technology. Then I do a review of an item, and then finally the most important part is the question and answer section. So basically, if you write your questions in the little comment area of the YouTube page, I will get to them in a first come, first served basis. All that I ask is that you type question in all uppercase letters, and then do colon, and then whatever your question is, so that I can see it amongst the stream of conversation. People have started using like my comment section as like an IRC chat board. So if you don't do question colon, it's very hard for me to pick what's the question and what's just the weird ass snarky comment. So please do the question. Now I am very excited. As my longtime followers know, I am constantly trying to innovate. I am constantly trying to make this daily blob, this whole thing better. And so now my latest innovation, it's not really a big innovation, it's just kind of a cool new thing, is that I am now going to be doing my interviews pre-taped and then basically playing the interviews for you during the daily blob. What this allows me to do is this allows me to actually take my cameras out in the field, do interviews out in the field, have CEOs, have people come here, not necessarily at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Basically, it makes it easier to do the interviews and be able to get buy-in from prominent players. So today, or actually yesterday, I did an interview with the founder of a website called legallogs.com. His name is Chris Kennedy, and that is what I'm going to be showing you for about 50 minutes today. And so basically in this interview, we talked to him about how he's created legallogs.com. Basically, legallogs.com is one of the few startup type companies that I've seen that really makes sense. You understand where the profit comes from. You understand where the infrastructure comes from. It's like you look at it, and again, as with all businesses, it may fail at the end of the day, but it really, you look at this thing and you're like, wow, that's a solid product, that's a solid idea. And so basically yesterday we were discussing how it came about, how he decided to do it, how the thing got created, what the business model is, and all of that kind of stuff. So let's go over to camera 2, and I will start showing you the interview. And again, like I say, it goes for about 50 minutes, and then when we come back, we will do the product reviews and get to your questions. So let's go over and start the interview. So I'm here with Chris Kennedy today, and we're going to be talking about legallogs.com, his startup company. Basically, kind of talk about how he created the company, talk about some of the ins and outs, like the actual structural part of it, and then where he plans to go with it in the future. So, Chris, basically, when we talk about legallogs.com, what are we talking about? What is this startup you have?
LegalLogs is a website database and very soon to launch an app that allows family law clients or people going through a divorce to document everything that happens during the divorce process.
Okay.
I learned the hard way that documenting information is key in court, regardless if it's family law, divorce, or if it's any sort of law or legal proceeding. You've got to have the documentation. So we built the website database and the app that is allow them to document their voicemails, their emails, their text messages, their time with the children, court filings, complete financial picture, all to present a more organized manner to your attorney to help represent you in court.
Yeah, okay. So are you a geek, or what's your background to create something like this?
So my background is I was in technology sales. I was a sales guy.
Sales guy.
I was a reasonably smart sales guy. So I wasn't a complete techie, but I could talk the talk in the IP world. Yeah. So I would sell dark fiber, lit fiber, network infrastructure to small, medium, large size businesses.
Okay. So then so who's part of your team? So you have a startup. How many
Correct.
people are part of your team?
So there's
then?
3 of us. Myself, who's co-founder.
Okay.
My partner Eric, who is the co-founder and the coder.
He's the coder.
He does all the coding for us, and
Yeah.
then Allie in our back office is the head dishwasher that keeps the world in order as we continue to sell and grow.
Oh, okay. So with your partner, he coded everything, or did you outsource anything?
Yeah. So kind of how we started is I was going through the divorce process and wasn't organized.
Yeah.
Couldn't get my stuff together. I ended up in court for a long 3-day trial, and I didn't have hardly any information to back up what I had said and claimed that I was. And my ex rolled in with a file cabinet of information, and they proceeded to just provide documentation after documentation to show that at that point the argument in our case was that I was not an involved father, which was not the case at all, but I just couldn't prove the information. So when that had gotten to that point and that was over, I went to my attorney and I said, what if there was this place that was organized where I could put all of this information that maybe you could extract at some point.
Yeah.
And he was not a techie guy, and he said, that's an interesting idea.
Okay.
So, I guess a month or 2 went by, and I was at Eric, my co-founder, owns a big farm in Maryland.
Yeah.
And I went over there, and we were having a few drinks, and, I said, she's really kicking my butt in court.
Yeah.
But I've got an idea.
Yeah.
What if there was this place that had, I could put all the emails, and I could put all the journal entries, and all of the financial documentation, and I could really kind of an online file cabinet for all of my information. And we had a few beers. We had a few more beers, and we talked about it. And I guess the following morning, or maybe 2 days later, I think it was, he said, why don't you come over and why don't we talk about that a little bit more? And we literally drew it out on a piece of paper. Just drew out very rough sketches of what was going on. And I was going to appeal my case, and I went to an appellate attorney, which was right down the street from my current attorney. And to do the appeal was rather pricey. I just couldn't afford to do that. I'd spent already a tremendous amount of money. But I asked this attorney, who was a techie attorney, and I said, what if there was this place where all this information could be housed? And I kind of went through it with her. And she said, that's interesting. And I said, well, would you be willing to help us? And what I mean by help us is we would actually construct the site piece by piece, and then we would come and demo it to you. And you would tell us if it works for what an attorney's looking for. And for 2 years, we did exactly that. Eric would code. I would lay it out. At first, I was laying it out literally on a Word document, sending it over to him, saying these are what the boxes are supposed to look like. And then we graduated to a PowerPoint. So we started laying out each site, each page of the site, and each piece of the database out on a PowerPoint presentation. Here's the boxes. Here's what they should do. Here's and then we would put side notes on interaction and what each thing would interact with and how it would operate. And he just continued to build and build and build and build, and then we would go back to that attorney. And we would demo it to her, and she would say yes, no, yes, move this, do that. What if it could do that? And for 2 years, we continued to do that back and forth until March of last year. We were ready to launch.
Oh, wow. Okay. So with that, were you working a full-time job somewhere else? There's that whole question with startups. When do you quit your day job?
Well,
or how do you quit your day job?
Yeah. So no, I did. I did quit my day job. So I was the sales guy. I worked for a company in Pennsylvania selling hosted VoIP, all dark fiber, lit fiber, all network infrastructure in general. And I was selling network infrastructure in Pennsylvania, but I lived in Maryland. It became difficult, right? So ironically, I was released from my job because there were sales reps in the territory. I was still selling a lot, but they were in the territory, and the company needed to make a large switch upgrade. And I was fairly high paid sales rep. And me and a few other people got let go. So that was last January. And I called Eric, my co-founder, and he was still working his job. He is a contractor for the Department of Defense. And I said, Eric, I just got let go. What do I do? We've got this thing where 80% done. Do I go back to work, or do we not? And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll fund us financially. You go and you start selling. So we finished, obviously, January to March. We got ourselves ready. I spent those couple of months to prepare marketing. I've got, Facebook and Twitter accounts. I got just all of the marketing stuff ready to go.
Okay.
So that March, when we launched, we would be just hit the ground running.
Okay.
So I never went back to work.
So when you have something like a partner, especially since you guys are friends, I mean, everybody always talks about things like contracts and all that. How did you guys figure out what the split would be? And do you have something hard like in writing?
We do. And Eric is Eric graduated from University of Maryland.
Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't. I got my GED out of high school.
Okay. Yeah.
So I went to the whole school of hard knocks to figure out how to run business and operate and make it happen.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that, but it worked for me.
Yeah.
And we decided to let Eric be the CEO of the company. Because of his background, because University of Maryland, he's got that. As we grow the company, we had to think long term. When we become hopefully big enough, we needed a CEO that didn't have a GED out of high school. Not that that's a terrible thing,
Yeah.
but we just thought that might be a better place to put him in charge of the company. Now, we both still operate and make decisions. We don't make any decisions without each other.
Yeah.
We talk more than, I think I talk to him more than his wife talks to him.
Okay.
So she calls me the other girlfriend because him and I talk so much about the CRA. Talk too much about decisions and about doing stuff, and talk every day and just make sure we're both going down the same road.
Okay. So with things like equity, have you, like with the lawyer, have you given equity away to anybody else, or is it just with you two?
It's just with us at this point.
Okay.
We've considered what to do with the whole equity portion.
Yeah.
And Eric has done a startup before.
Okay.
Eric has started up a company that ultimately did not go anywhere, and he raised a fair amount of cash to do so, and it just didn't pan out. And he had to give up a large equity stake of the company.
Yeah.
So him having been through this before, I kind of relied on him a little bit, and he has made the decision that we are going to just keep moving forward as we are, self-funded, without giving up equity at this point. I think at the end of 2014, we will have generated enough cash that giving up equity becomes a lesser of an issue because we're less of a risk.
Okay.
Because it's really what equity is about, right? It's about we're going to give up 50% of our company for $250,000 or $500,000, and that's based on the risk. Well, if we've reduced the risk by generating revenue over and over again, and that revenue is safe, and we say we need $500,000 for giving up 10% of the company, but it's almost a guarantee because we're generating enough revenue that we can cover that. That's kind of our goal. That's, I think, where we're going.
Okay, so you're going for more revenue first. So,
yeah. I had a conversation with with a venture capitalist in Baltimore, and I said, "How many startups come with revenue?"
Yeah.
They said, "None."
None. Huh.
Very seldom. Very few.
Yeah.
And I said, "So if I came to you with $100,000 in annual revenue, $250,000 in annual revenue," he said, "you would be 1/10% that actually pulled that off." And he goes, "At that point, if you come back to me with that, I will give you," he didn't use the words, "I will give you anything you want," but he was very liberal in saying, "You will have my my mind share."
Really? Wow. So up until this point, then, do you have any additional funding? Like, is this all just out of your pocket?
So we are 100% self-funded at this point.
Okay.
We've got Herrick's wife has a revenue source that is very solid for us.
Yeah.
So we are funding the project that way currently.
Okay. So with this, the big thing a lot of people talk about, these incubators, the accelerators, that kind of stuff. Have you been part of any of that? Have you been interested in that at all?
Yeah, so we went and looked, and locally in Baltimore, we went and looked at being an incubator. It just didn't make any sense.
Really? Like, why did that make?
Honestly, straight up, I think that the whole key in the startup world, or what people think in the startup world, is they got to get funded. And when they get funded, they're this magical thing. Yeah. Well, that's really not the case at all. It's really about revenue. It's really about generating dollars and getting dollars in the door. Because it's great. I'm funded. I'm in an incubator. I'm really cool. I get to hang out in the cool space. I get to, we have beer Fridays and we drink and everything. I get to meet all my buddies. Yeah. But nobody's generating revenue. Everybody's using revenue that they raised capital and they had to give up, a third or half of their company to get, and they ultimately, probably 90% of them never even make it. The revenue, the funding goes away, and so do they.
Okay.
So it just didn't make any sense for us. We have an office that is very cost effective. It's zero.
Okay.
Doesn't cost. A friend of ours has office space that they lent us.
Oh, okay.
So we've just been fortunate to be in a space to grow like that, and it's right in an area where all the attorneys we do business with. It's all right in that central area. So that just didn't make sense at this point.
Yeah. So do you guys all work out of the office, or do you work from home, or the car? Or?
So Eric works from his house, and he does all the coding at his house. Comes into the office when needed. Allie, who's our back office, works out of the office. And I work out of my car, office, house. I'm out selling, so I work wherever I can be.
I think that was one of the curious things. We were talking about this before with Allie, because she has office space, I guess, with your friend who has office. Mm-hmm. And so I guess the question there is, telecommuting is a huge thing, and especially if you guys aren't in the office a lot. Is there a reason to have her not also work from home? Like have everybody do the telecommuting thing?
Well, so she meets with a lot of the attorneys and a lot of the clients.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and all those, we've got a large majority of them in that territory we are in Towson.
Yeah.
So she goes over and meets with them constantly. She's, walking over to their offices, as today, right before I met with you, we did exactly that. I met her down in Towson, and she walked over to meet with the firm.
Okay.
So she works from home. Apparently it snowed a lot. We know that. So she's worked from home during the snow, but we like her to be in the office for the moment.
Yeah. So how did you go about, so you have one employee then right now,
Mm-hmm.
you have Allie. So how did you go about finding that first employee? Like what was the...
that's actually our second one.
Oh, second, okay.
Our first one was an intern.
Okay, yeah.
That we brought on. We met with John Hopkins University, and we went and did this whole intern study. And she was paid intern, but she came to us, and she was okay. She wasn't. Yeah. She was okay. Yeah. But Allie, we actually met at a bar convention.
Okay.
In Ocean City, Maryland.
Yeah.
And her dad is an attorney.
Okay.
Which fit well.
Yeah.
She knows the law world fairly well, and we just kind of, honestly, we just stumbled upon her. We literally were at the event, socializing, and we met her and stumbled upon her, and we had long talks with her afterwards, and we lucked out. We lucked out. She's been fantastic for us. She's really grown into. She came on board, was going to go into a different field. She was going to go into politics, but now that she's seen us grow and seen things starting to happen, she's really involved in what we're doing. She's really excited because employee number one could be that wonderful thing. If this thing goes where we would all love it to go.
Now, with that, do you have any kinds of contracts, or you thought about? Because especially when you have founders, especially once things start going really well, the question is how much of that rolls downhill, and if people have equity, if employee number one has 5% equity, it's much easier to feel like they're making money with it.
Right.
Have you guys discussed that at all? Or have you?
We haven't even crossed that bridge yet, but we know that we will share to some degree some of the pot with people that were there for us, that helped us grow, that believed in us. Okay. We won't, I always say never forget where you came from. Yeah. And I won't forget the people that have helped us along the way. And if Allie made sacrifices, because she's made plenty of sacrifices along the way to get us to where we are today, we'll definitely take care of those people.
Oh, interesting. So now with her, bringing an employee on, especially when you have one employee, because this is one of the things I've actually been thinking about. Just out of curiosity, do you use a payroll service, or how do you deal with a single employee?
We just pay. We just we just cut the check. We don't use a payroll service. For one employee, there's no sense in using a payroll service.
Oh, okay. Just with workman's comp and figuring out taxes and all that.
Well, like I said, the where the money is currently coming from is an actual formed company, and we utilize some of those resources.
I see. Okay. That makes sense. So when you start building this thing out, so you've got the accounting issues, but then the legal issues, and especially for you, since it's legal logs, you've got a lot more legal issues. How did you find whoever you're using for legal counsel, and is there any advice you can have on finding?
everybody knows somebody that's an attorney.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the mix.
Yeah.
Right? And find that person you trust.
Okay.
It just so happens we once again lucked out that one of our very good friends, our high school friends, is a partner in a very large law firm called McGuire Woods, which is a global law firm. And they work on some very big cases and clients, and we asked him if he could help us. And we were fortunate in that regard. But I would say that you got to find someone that you can truly trust and have conversations with. I mean, I have conversations with him. I call him because he's very expensive to have a conversation with,
yeah.
right? But he's also my friend,
yeah.
so I can have conversations with him on the way home, as I know what time he comes home from work.
Yeah.
And I pick up the phone and I call him and I have 10, 15-minute conversation just about how the company's doing, not about anything like in depth, just about how the company's doing and keep him updated. And I think that he knows that as we grow and we go out to seek funding, he will collect a check off that, and then ultimately, if we can build this big enough and we sell it, you will duly get paid off that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, have you dealt a lot with legal logs? So have you dealt a lot with like IP and the trademark and copyright and all of that?
Yeah. So we have a provisional patent in right now.
Okay.
It's tough in the internet world.
Yeah.
Because what's patentable and what isn't patentable.
Yeah.
I mean, someone could use our site and realize that if they made one small alteration within the site, all of a sudden they bypassed what our patent was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we've had the provisional patent in there, and we'll see where it goes. But we haven't, we're realistically for us, we're trying to do things a little differently. Yeah. We're just trying to, since we have no competitors at this point, we're trying to get out ahead and get big enough that no one can catch us.
Right.
That's the goal.
So with your patent, like how hard is that process? How hard did you find
It's
it?
costly.
It's costly. Okay.
Yeah, it's costly. To get a provisional patent is somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000.
$10,000. Okay.
And that's just the provisional part.
Yeah.
So a full patent search, a full patent is about $25,000 to $30,000.
So what's the difference then between a provisional patent and the full patent?
You say, a provisional patent is you say, okay, well, we have these things that we think are patentable.
Okay.
And you send it in and you secure that. Okay, well, you now have a year from that point to close the loop on that and do a full patent search. Because that's really what costs the money, is the attorney has to go in and do a full patent search and dig around through the internet and through a variety of different patents and figure out if what we have is truly patentable. And then submit it. So that's really where the cost comes in. The cost comes in the attorney doing all the research and the homework to get it and submit it and say, okay, we've got something patentable, and they draw out schematics with it and graphs and attorney stuff and send all that in.
Interesting. All right. So you do have some kind of patent, but you're trying for the provisional patent, but you don't. That's not the core of your business. Like a lot of people figure, once I get the IP, I'll become a billionaire because I will own.
Far from it.
Okay.
Far from it, because Facebook. The days of Facebook are over. The days of Mark Zuckerberg putting up a site and in no time flat, all of a sudden the site explodes.
Yeah.
They're very few and far between. I know we hear a lot about some of them that happen, but it just doesn't happen. It takes this site. We built the infrastructure, which is great, but it takes a lot of hard work to go out and sell the service and convince people to try our service and to bring them on board and to get attorneys to buy into the idea. That's where the hard work comes in. It's not. We're not going to put it up and tomorrow it's going to explode.
So when you created your company, especially since you may be getting funding, what kind of corporation did you create then?
We incorporated.
Okay. So you were just a C Corp or an S Corp?
S Corp.
S Corp. Did you do that in Maryland or Delaware?
Delaware.
You did do it in Delaware.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody seems to be. Now that's interesting though. I thought if you were seeking funding that you should go for the Delaware C Corp. Was there a particular reason for the S Corp?
That's kind of outside. That's Eric's world.
Okay, just yeah.
So, I had a brief discussion with him. He's like, this is what I'm going to do. I responded, sounds good.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Okay. So then okay, so with legal logs, so you have this web application. The client or lawyer can log in, all the documents are stored there. So what is your actual business then? How do you make money off of this?
That's a great question. So we go out and we sell it in two directions.
Yeah.
Primarily though, we sell it to attorneys.
Okay.
We go out and sell the service to attorneys, and the attorneys will then bring the clients to us.
Oh, nice.
So our pitch to attorneys is if we can bring you a more organized client, which they love, you can have a better outcome in court, and you can have more referrals as a result of that.
Okay, yeah.
That's straightforward, the pitch.
Yeah.
And because of that, they come on and they buy the service from us.
Mm-hmm.
They have an annual fee to buy the service.
Okay.
And then there's a per client fee for each client that comes on board.
Okay.
That's how we sell it directly to attorneys.
Okay.
Now, we also sell it to individuals. Sometimes the attorney doesn't have to be on the service, but the client wants to become organized and document the information.
Okay.
We pick those people up from Facebook, Twitter, Google, press releases, general press, and we pick them up at a clip of probably two to 5 a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what is the client acquisition process for you? So if you're going to go out, and let's say you're going to go for that lawyer, like how does that happen? Do they just click an AdWords banner ad
No.
and come to you?
No, wouldn't that be just fantastic?
Yeah.
Can you help me do that? That'd be great. No, it requires a sales guy.
Yeah. Okay.
So I go out and develop relationships. The bar associations, which all the attorneys belong to in some regard, whether it's a local bar or state bar. We sponsor a ton of those events. We sponsor CLEs, which are continuing law education, which all attorneys have to do to help become smarter in the law as law changes.
Yeah.
We sponsor a ton of those. We sponsor happy hours. We sponsor breakfast events. We do anything and everything to get ourselves in front of attorneys.
Okay. Yeah.
If we can have 5 minutes to pitch our product in front of an attorney and garner some a little bit of activity, we then obviously follow up on those with phone calls and emails to try and schedule demos.
Okay.
And then we go in and we do we call lunch and learn.
Yeah.
So we take them lunch and we say, you know what, we know you're busy. 45 minutes, we'll feed you lunch. We'll demo the whole product top to bottom, and at that point we go in and hopefully get them to sign a contract or say yes, we'd like to do this, and shortly afterwards sign the contract. So it takes a ton of phone calls, ton of relationships. I go to networking events, and I spend 5 days a week on the road nonstop every day. I've done that for a year. It takes a while to build it. First couple of months we had very little activity.
Yeah.
But I think after we started to figure out the model and what worked for us, then we started to slowly get traction, and I think now we're getting consistent traction.
So how do you find the events that you're going to sponsor? So everybody talks about sponsoring events, but how do you actually
find what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
I just searched the web. I just literally used the web as my resource, and I started searching bar associations.
Yeah.
And then I started developing relationships and setting meetings with the bar executives and pitching our product to them and say, hey, we'd like to be a sponsor. Can we get involved?
Okay.
And they wanted us to be a sponsor by just throwing our logo up on a website.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do anything for us. It's not. It doesn't get it done.
Yeah.
We want the ability to sponsor something and have a few minutes to speak, interact with them, be at events. So we figured out that putting our logo up didn't do anything, so we started sponsoring the events. And so search the web.
Yeah.
And then now we've got it down to science, where we know exactly, we go into a territory and we search that bar association. There's always a state bar, and then there's also municipalities within that. So, and in our territory, there's a Maryland State Bar, and then each county has a bar association. And we meet with each individual county bar association executives and develop relationships through them. And ironically, all of those relationships we developed for those bar executives, they're all attorneys. So when you are developing a relationship with them to sponsor them, that helps them open the door a little bit for you.
Interesting. So when you do have a lawyer that's actually interested in this, what from the time they go, that's cool, to the time you get a check cashed, about how long do you find that for you guys?
If you asked me that back in June of last year, I would tell you it takes 6 months.
6, even with
That was then.
Yeah.
Because we didn't understand the process, and we were making stuff up as we went along.
Yeah.
We were just throwing it against the wall and seeing what would stick. But as we have now figured it out and dialed in on the sauce, it probably takes us, I would say, 2 months.
Okay.
To get a firm, to meet with a firm, to get them excited about the product, get them to sign the contract, write the check, and bring on the first couple of clients.
Okay.
And once we get them past probably 3 or 4 clients on the system, I'm going to show them the value, because we work with the clients to help them input information. Once we show them the value of what's going on, we go back, we take the attorney and the paralegal out to lunch, and we're like, look at all this wonderful data that the clients put in.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is fantastic, this is great.
Yeah.
That's it. The wagon's full, and they're rolling down the road.
Okay. So with the pricing on this, so that's obviously a big hurdle. How did you guys decide on? That's a big question. Like, how do you charge? Why do you decide to charge 25 or something, or 300 for something? Like, how do you come to that number?
We just picked a number.
You did.
I mean, yeah, said,
That's a good one.
that's the number. Actually, we started at $50 a month per client.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we realized that a lot of people going through divorces are broke, or they end up broke in the end, right? So we're like, this is too much money. We need to dial this thing down. And then we asked the attorney, that one attorney that helped us build it, what we should charge the attorneys.
Yeah.
And she said, $500 a year is a good start.
Yeah. Okay.
So now our numbers are $500 a year per attorney.
Yeah.
That encompasses all their back office staff,
Okay.
and then $20 a month per client that comes on.
Okay.
We don't care if the attorney pays it for them, the client pays it.
Yeah.
As long as we get the cash, we don't care who pays it.
Okay.
We've been told on numerous occasions that our price is way too low, which we are completely aware of, but we are going to continue with that price and garner traction until we get enough traction that we feel we're comfortable in raising the price to the next level.
Now, have you thought a lot of startup companies, for the whole traction thing, they just completely give stuff away for like a year or two. Did you guys ever think about that?
We did.
Yeah. Okay.
We did exactly that.
Okay.
So our very first event, we were in Baltimore, and we put on a breakfast seminar.
Okay.
And I went out and created a flyer that said, come to our breakfast demo.
Yeah.
We'll feed you eggs and bacon and fruit. And I mean, it's at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's over by 9.
Yeah.
It's right by the courthouse. It's in a local pub that they're not even open. They're just open for us for breakfast.
Yeah.
And come check us out. So with that being said, I pulled email addresses off the web. I emailed them.
Yeah.
I called them. I sent out flyers. I developed some relationships, and that helped us, they made some emails and some phone calls for us.
Mm-hmm.
At that event, we had 42 attorneys show up.
Wow.
I was kind of blown away by that one.
Yeah.
Eric was just as shocked as I was,
Yeah.
but they all showed up. We then offered those attorneys, we said, if you sign our engagement letter by the end of next week, we will give you your billable service, the $500 fee, free for life.
All right.
We had almost all 42 attorneys sign up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because what do they get to lose, right?
Yeah.
Whether they use their service or not,
Yeah.
they sign the engagement letter, they don't have to worry about it ever, it's free for them. Now we charge their clients, but it was free for them.
Yeah.
So that was the first step, and out of that, we got on 42 attorneys, but not all of them are engaged by any means. We had to develop relationships to get them engaged.
Okay.
But that was the first step.
Okay.
And the step we're at now is where we're charging, the $500 and the $20.
Yeah.
We'll garner enough activity in that level. We'll grandfather those attorneys into that box.
Yeah.
And then when we're ready to, we'll move to the next box and we'll raise the price again. And then we'll leave the guys that were free, get it free. The guys that were $500, get it at $500 forever.
Yeah.
And then the next box is, we don't know what the next box is.
Interesting.
So we have given it away.
Yeah.
We've consistently grown the price from 0 to where we are now.
Do you have a plan on that, or you just kind of wing it?
We're just winging it.
You're just wing-
We're just winging it. We're going to go out. The next thing is decide what we think we really should be charging for the price, because now we know we're undercharging.
Yeah, yeah.
What is the number that we should be charging? Is it $750 a year? Is it $1,000 a year?
Okay.
We'll have to. We haven't even really. We'll have some more beers and discuss that.
Yeah, interesting. So what is your infrastructure that this runs on? Like, do you own the servers, or are they
Yes.
Amazon Web Services?
That's actually a great question. So I told you about our attorney that's our friend that's helping us grow the business,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And helping us be protective, because we've got a ton of attorneys on our site, and the last thing we want is us to be compromised in any way, shape, or form, and then all of a sudden we've got 800 attorneys suing the daylights out of us.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they recommended is we run our own infrastructure.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have servers in 2 facilities now.
No.
On the East Coast, and we run, control, operate our own servers.
Okay.
No one touches them, other than reboots in the colo facilities
Yeah.
if needed. But we were asked not to put our stuff in shared server environment.
Okay. So do you actually own them? Like, did you go out and buy? And
We went out and bought them.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay,
we went out and
wow.
bought them, configured them, built them.
Yeah.
They all belong to us.
Oh, interesting. And then Eric is the one that supports them?
Yeah,
Or-
Eric does. Eric designs them, builds them, runs them.
Okay.
It's all his infrastructure.
Now, with something like this, especially with the lawyers, have you guys hired anybody to do like penetration testing or?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Good questions. So we did.
Yeah.
We hired a company called Prometheus Defense Solutions.
Okay.
They were out of Glen Burnie, Maryland,
Yeah.
and they did a lot of intrusion testing for the government.
Okay.
They didn't have a retail division, and then they opened up the retail division. And so basically, we employed real good hackers.
Yeah.
You know, the good, not the bad hackers, the good hackers, to hack us and see if there was any holes and find any holes. And you know, we patched a couple of things here and there, but for the most part, we've got some good infrastructure.
Okay. Then how did you decide on that? Because a lot of the fans ask, they want to start selling penetrations testing services. And, you know, I tell them, you know, you knock on the door and hand out a flyer, I'm not going to touch you. Like, how did you find these particular people?
Sales guy came to us.
Sales guy.
Really? We were at an event. Oh. Gosh, where were we? Well, we were at a tech breakfast,
okay.
which you and I go to, the tech breakfast, and we met the guy. He came up with us a tech breakfast, and he knew based on the demo that we did that we had, and this was in the very beginning. I mean, like, we wouldn't have any customers on it or anything when we were doing the demo. He immediately saw a couple holes in our infrastructure, and he walked over to Eric, and he was apparently a really smart sales guy, and he said, you know, you've got a couple holes, and he mapped them out. Eric already knew that there were a couple holes here and there, and Eric said, yeah, I know, and then that's how the conversation started, and then we got with them, and, you know, we plugged up everything, and now Eric was Department of Defense contractor, so he you know, document management, this was kind of his world before. So that's how he got to us, is he got to us as a sales guy out developing a relationship.
So can I ask, like, how much that cost or around?
I think there was levels, of course, right? You know, it was, do you want to hit you once or hit you 50 times? I think we spent about $5,000. I think.
$5,000. Now, is that something that you'll do recurring? Like, have them hit you again in 6 months?
Yes, we're going to have them hit us again soon. We've made a lot of infrastructure changes and upgrades and stuff, and I think it's time to be hit again. Soon, to make sure we don't have any more holes. Because, like I said, we don't want to. I mean, at some point, when the revenue makes sense, that will be an ongoing process. Right? We'll be able to employ them, an ongoing process to continuously hit us, find out if there's any holes or openings.
So with the big one now, since Target's being hit and all these web companies, is I know people are talking about like insurance, like data protection, something insurance. Did you guys bother with anything like that? Did you find, you know, in case your system gets hacked, it's, you know, so many millions of dollars? And
you know, we haven't yet, but now that you're talking about it, I think I might have that conversation as soon as we walk out of here, actually.
Oh, okay. So do you, like, what is your security agreement? Like, you know, if you're dealing with medical records, you've got to deal with HIPAA.
Right,
if you're dealing with credit cards, you've got to deal with PCI. Weirdly enough, I've actually never heard of anything oddly, like lawyers.
There's not really any legal. I mean, you know, it's your general security. When you go to an attorney and he said, "How secure are you?" You know, we throw out a few acronyms, and he's like, "Oh, okay," because he doesn't necessarily know any better. There's not really a security compliance as long as it's in state. When it becomes international information that comes into our site, it's a whole different ballgame. So, as an example, if you were from Canada, or you were from another country, Netherlands, you know, Europe, and you were putting your information into our service, there's a ton of compliance that we have to do with that.
So I guess with that, are you only going for Maryland lawyers? Are you going for world?
We're going to go national.
You're gonna. Okay.
We just got to get, you know, what's the sense of me going after attorneys in New York or in other states when I've got 5,000 of them at my doorstep, right? So I'm going to build and develop relationships here, and then we're going to go national and start to expand. We've already started expanding to New York. We're into New York a little bit. Got 1 or 2 in there. We've got 1 or 2 in Florida. So we've expanded a little bit, but those are the ones that come to us. We want to build here as opposed to attacking elsewhere first, and prove the model. You know, if I can walk up to you as an attorney and I can shake your hand and say, "Hey, it's great doing business with you," and you can refer me to somebody in New York. That's worth its weight in gold.
Now, how do you deal with, I know in the tech news right now, there's a lot of problems where you have tech companies, you know, you can be in one place and sell nationally, but then you run into weird little legal issues that nobody would even think about. Like, do you just talk with your lawyer about, like, when you start selling this in New York or in California, is there just little stupid things?
There totally is.
Yeah.
So what we do is every time we move into a different territory, we have a long conversation with that attorney in that territory to understand the nuances and the things that we need to account for in that territory.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've gone in, like I said, we've got 1 or 2 in New York, and we've got 1 or 2 in Florida, and we've had to make a few adjustments within our services to accommodate that. So yeah, we're learning in each state. We'll, once we get enough infrastructure and enough people in place in the company, we'll probably hire someone to literally go out and find the nuances of that. Hopefully, we'll hire an attorney is what we'd really like to hire. Bring in-house counsel.
So with that kind of stuff, is it kind of like cumulative? You can just keep adding on extra security to what you're doing, or do you actually have to start compartmentalizing it to this version is used in New York and this version is used in California?
We're probably going to have to departmentalize it a bit.
Yeah.
We're actually beginning to. So, I mentioned in the very beginning that we're into divorce.
Yeah.
We're now building more infrastructure to accommodate personal injury, medical malpractice, workers' compensation. So we've got another piece of the site that's been compartmentalized that will address those. Then it looks completely different than what our infrastructure looks like now.
Okay.
We've started to use Bootstrap.
Okay.
Started to use Bootstrap, and we're using Rails 4. So we're moving in a different direction because this was built on Rails 3.
Okay. So during this whole process, what has been easier than you thought it would be? Like 2 years ago when you were looking at this, what did you think was going to be horrible and turned out to be not too bad?
Jeez. Nothing. Everything turned out to be tough.
Oh, God.
Everything was tough.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really good question. What would be what I thought would be easy?
Yeah.
I'll reverse that.
Okay.
When we built this infrastructure, we thought this is going to be great. This is an incredible idea. We have no competition. We can totally do this.
Yeah.
We didn't anticipate how difficult it was to get into a law firm.
Okay.
I've been a sales guy for many years, and to get in and sell some, hosted VoIP or some internet or, is not that to get into the IT guy. It's not that difficult, right? At least now I think it's not that difficult. To get into a law firm and actually have a conversation with an attorney is very, very difficult. They've got gatekeepers. They protect. They won't let anybody near them because they're busy trying cases, and and they've got a lot of people pounding on them. Yeah. So that was the one thing, in the reverse that we didn't know it was going to be that tough, was how hard it was to get into a law firm and develop a relationship.
Now with lawyers, have you noticed with the sales process, does age matter? Are 60-year-olds harder to sell to than 30-year? They really
Absolutely.
Are? Really? Okay.
We like the techie guys, or girls, I should say. The techie people, probably the age group for us is 31, 29, 31, right in that ballpark.
Okay.
To 40s, 42, 43, 44.
Okay.
That's the sweet spot.
Really?
We've got one attorney that I know that's on us that's very tech savvy. He gets it, and he couldn't have been any more than 36 or 37. He's all over it. He loves it to death. So yeah, it's a 60-year-old attorney or a 60-year-old client for that matter. That my mom. My mom, has no email. She's never touched a computer. She would be not the right client for us. We want that client in that sweet spot that at least understands it, has a smartphone, is techie, not techie, but gets the general idea. How to get on the internet would probably be a good start.
With the sales process, because with anything, everybody always thinks it's the CEO that makes the decision, and many times it's not. They're the ones that just sign the check. So with lawyers, you got paralegals and assistants. Mm-hmm. How have they influenced one way or another the sales process?
Well, I'll be able to tell you in a couple hours, because this morning I met with a paralegal.
Okay.
So I met with the attorney on Friday. I met him at a networking event. Bumped into him, got back. He sent an email to his paralegal and said, "You guys need to meet."
Okay.
I met with the paralegal today, and we did a full demo before I came to see you. And the paralegal is the one who runs the ship.
Okay.
They're the one that runs the company per se, right? The attorney makes all the big decisions and goes to trial. But the paralegal, without that paralegal, the attorney would be almost helpless. So we demoed to her, and she said, "This is fantastic. I just need to get a couple sign-offs, plead my case, and we're in business." So we've started to actually develop relationships with paralegals as well, on top of attorneys.
Okay. So I guess the final wrap up, at least, so you've been doing this for 2 years now.
Well, we've been live for 1 year.
1 year.
March 1st will be 1 year.
1 year. But you've been working on it for 2.
We've been working on it for 3.
Been working on it for 3.
Yeah, we coded for 2.
Yeah.
We launched in March, and that was our first full year of selling.
Yeah.
So now we're,
So 3. And so by the end of this year, so there'll be 4, you want to be having enough revenue that you can actually go to VCs or funding to get. So when do you get to buy your Ferrari? Like because that's what everybody, with Zuckerberg, unfortunately, he's so bad because it really was. And in 5 years, he was a billionaire.
he's ready to go, right?
With you, what is that? So we're already,
So I'll be honest with you, I don't consider the first 2 years that we were coding and building, then it kind of don't count because we were building infrastructure. We weren't out selling the stuff. We were building the company, building the pieces that make it work.
Okay.
So from March to March, which we're almost at March now, 1 year of selling, we've done well.
Yeah.
Have we generated enough revenue? Not at all. We need probably, we figure by the end of 2014 we should be cash flow positive, covering salaries, those sort of things, because sponsorships, the stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
There's a point that we keep talking about. It's called critical mass.
Yeah.
And I talked to my partner and Allie about this, and in the very beginning the wheel just didn't turn. It just stood there just like this. Right? And we pounded on doors and nobody paid attention to us. And we continued to pound on doors. I was relentless and not giving up. Then the wheel started to turn a little, but it would start, stop. We'd get a little traction, it stops, get a little traction, stop, that sort of thing. Then now, or I guess by the end of this past summer, it began to turn a little bit more consistently right up until Christmas. And now the wheel is turning. And we're bringing on clients consistently. Almost every day we're seeing some sort of activity, whether it's meeting with an attorney or meeting with a client. So I think by 2016 we'll gain critical mass. Yeah. And that's where the wheel will just do this. Yeah, okay. And I think it's going to take, so how many years is that? So that's 3 years? That's my third full year of selling. Yeah. I think by the third full year of selling, we will have a very solid business. Okay. My Ferrari, I think it's going to probably be in 2000. It would be a Lamborghini, I would think.
Lamborghini?
For me. I would think probably 2000, if all works out, 2017. So a couple years away. It's not as easy as people think.
Now, is there anything, could you have shrunk that time frame down? Is there something you look at and go, if I had, whatever.
So have you ever read the Kevin Plank at Under Armour, the story on him?
No.
So Kevin Plank started, and it's a long story, but the short version is he went out and gave his Under Armour gear away to all the football players in this local territory for 3 years.
Wow. Okay.
At one point, he decided that he started to sell a little bit, started to get a little bit of traction. Took out an ad for $25,000, and I think it was a TV ad.
Okay.
Made $1 million rollback on that $25,000 ad. Right. So he did all this, built the infrastructure and the groundwork, took out the ad, and blew up. Yeah. I think at some point we're going to make that decision, and we are going to go after the client base, meaning we're going to go on TV, radio, and start advertising, and take that leap. Okay. I would hope we take that leap somewhere in 2014, 2015. Yeah. That would be really nice because I think that we'll garner from the product that we offer, and we don't have any competition. Yeah. We hopefully should see, our servers, hopefully not smoke, but definitely get warm.
Yeah. So why, you keep saying that you don't have competition, and it seems just so weird, because it seems like the perfect niche for there to be at least some. I'm not saying a zillion companies, but at least
totally
3 or 4.
It's totally weird. Okay. We search the web up one side and down the other, and there's nobody that has a product similar to ours currently. There's case management systems for attorneys to put infrastructure, to put documents and map their time out inside of their there's Time Matters and Abacus, and there's a bunch of legal case management system for the attorney. Yeah. But there's nothing out there for the client to input information. Huh. Okay. We were the first that we have been able to find that really enable the client to input all of the information and take what we call empowering the attorney-client relationship. So we'll bring the client and the attorney together and having the client be a real part of the case as opposed to sit on the sidelines and do what the attorney says. Because if you're inputting all this information from journal entries to emails to text to to documents in general, you're now becoming a part of the case, and you're learning. You're helping the attorney move you forward. So yeah, there's nothing out there. We are blown away that there's nothing out there currently.
Cool.
Hope we can get far enough ahead that doesn't matter anymore.
That's get your million lawyers, and it'll be the QuickBooks of.
Correct. That'd be magical.
Cool. Well, I'm through all the questions. I mean, do you have anything else, like any just amazing nuggets of gold to tell the guys?
Amazing nuggets of gold. You know, when we turned this thing up, I thought we were going to blow up.
Yeah.
You know, I thought we were going to Facebook it. Servers were going to catch on fire. Yeah. You know, all kinds of magic would happen. And those things don't happen. They're very rare. Yeah. Just put it that way. They're very rare. Yeah. That 1% or less than 1% is what they happen to. You know, Flappy Bird or whatever the hell that is. I actually found out that on my iPad, my kids downloaded Flappy Bird, so I was thinking about putting it on eBay and selling it for $100,000. Use that funding. But the only information I would truly give is it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to grow a company. Okay. You know, and I've worked harder, now than I've ever worked to grow this company. Yeah. But I know that once we get to that critical mass point that I talked about, it'll be worth every single dollar, and we'll be able to, live a nice, happy life and collect a nice paycheck and, live how we would like to live. Yeah. So, the only nugget I have is don't go out and think that you're just gonna blow it out and make it happen. It takes knocking on doors and cold calling, relationships, and, unless you're building a Flappy Bird.
Yeah. Build the Flappy Bird.
Right. Right. Cool. For sure. Okay. So that's it.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for coming by, and we'll flip over to Legal Logs. So if you want to learn any more about this, it's legallogs.com.
Yep.
And yeah. So with that. So
I will say. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
If you're going through a divorce, or someone's going through divorce, please either come on the site. You can start for free, 30-day free trial. Or get in touch with us. All of our information's on the site, and we will walk you through and help you get involved. If you're an attorney and you have interest, please go on the site, contact us, and reach out to us.
Cool.
That's it. That's my pitch.
Good deal. Always got to end with the pitch.
Right.
Cool. And so that was our interview with Chris Kendi over at Legal Logs. Again, for any of you guys that missed the beginning of the show, we are now pre-taping our interviews to try to make the whole process work a little better. So Chris Kennedy came over yesterday. We discussed everything about Legal Logs. We asked a lot of questions, everything from what kind of corporation he had to insurance and all of that. So I think it went well, and I'm excited because now that we can start doing pre-recorded interviews, I think the sky is the limit. Now, as I talk about, like with all these things in technology and business, you see something for like an hour, and then there's just like this one little stupid little golden nugget of just pure awesomeness that you guys may have missed. But the bit of pure awesomeness, I would say, out of that whole thing with Chris Kendi and Legal Logs is right at the end, where he just threw in his pitch. He threw in his ask, even though I didn't actually quite give him the opening to do it. So this is an important thing for you guys to understand with your business. Like, a lot of times you guys are all nice and you're polite and you don't want to offend anybody, and so you'll go out and you'll spend hours and hours and hours talking to folks about whatever it is you're doing, and then by the end of it, they won't remember your company name, and they won't remember what you want and what you're asking for. So I would think that is like, for you guys, I mean, Legal Logs is cool, and then the interview was cool, but I think that is like one of the primary nuggets that I would take out of that interview, is, like I say, right at that end where he threw in his pitch, he threw in his ask, because that really, 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 really is important in life. So let's go over, do our little hands-on review, then do the sponsor shout-out, and then get to your guys' questions. I don't know how many questions you guys have, but we will get to them. So today what we're playing with for our hands-on review is something called Tech Tips. not really sure how I feel about tech tips. They are curious. So basically what these things are is they're kind of like thimbles for your finger, so that you can use tablet devices even if you have something like a glove on. So let's go over to camera 4 so I can show you what these things are. So this is a tech tip, right? So this is their little thing and their sign and their whatever. But these are, they have that tech tip and this tech tip. So we ran into these guys, Tony ran into these guys at CES. And so the idea is like if you have gloves on or whatever else, you can put like this little thimble on your hand and be able to use the tablet. Now, there's some curious things with this thought process. You know, the question is, do you actually want something? Do you want to put a thimble on your finger? Is this a good idea? The main problem that I, in fact, ran into with these things, though, is that, and frankly, it doesn't actually work that great. So like on this, so this is my iPad 2, obviously, and if I touch it with my finger, it's really easy. See, if I touch it, see, I'm touching it with, oops, crap. I'm touching it with the tech tip, and it's just not, oh, there we go. I don't know, it's supposed to be like accurate and make life easier or whatever, and as you can see, it actually just fundamentally doesn't work that well. So I actually hate doing reviews like this when they're not great, but see, I mean, it just doesn't, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know what the hell the learning curve on a tech tip should be, but it seems like it should be easier than that. So that's what these tech tips are supposed to be. And again, I mean, it's a curious idea. I would have to say that I think if you want to use your tablet device with gloves, that you should just go out and buy the gloves with that allow you to use tablet devices, like say the Muho or whatever. And the thought with this is that their argument is it's supposed to allow you to very accurately use your tablet, but again, it just doesn't seem to work that well. So I would say go out. I mean, I don't know. I really do. I don't mind being snarky sometimes, but then like some of these reviews, it's like really, like I feel bad for doing them because they're just not, oops. Yeah, I don't know. So if you're interested in the tech tips, you can go over to their website. Let me pull up their website and so you can take a look at it, and you know, take a look, see what you think, see what your thoughts on them are. I find them just to be a little, I don't know, they're just curious. So this is Tech Tips. So if you are interested in the Tech Tips, it is usetechtips.com, and basically this is where they show you all the cool stuff about how they're supposed to work. And I don't know, maybe mine are just glitchy or something. The one cool thing that I saw that they had that I thought was pretty cool, if I can find it, was information, customize, oh, come on, where is it? About, were the nano nails. So they were talking about using the material in these tech tips for fingernails. So you know how like girls, some women like to have long fingernails, and so the idea was that they're going to use this tech tip material in the fingernail so that women with long fingernails could use tablets, which that sounds like a cool idea. Whether or not the material itself works, I can't say. But I don't know. If you're interested in either of those, it is usetechtips.com. Again, at least in my playing with it, and I did play with it beforehand, and I was trying to make it work, because I really hate bad reviews. I don't mind like reviews that are like on the edge, like a little cutting, a little snarky, but these just don't really work that well. So I think I read everything. I used the silver ones. I used the black ones, and they're just not that. So I don't know. Oh, just to show you guys, because it did say that I was supposed to use the silver one on one of the iPads. Like it said, the newer iPad. So this is an iPad 2, but even with the silver one, again, it's not really working that well. So just so you guys know, I'm not like I don't know. I'm not trying to trash these things. They're just, I don't know. But tech tips. Use techtips.com. if you want to take a look. A curious idea. Again, I like the idea. That's one of the things, like with technology, why I like playing with these things, however it actually turns out for the review, is again, the whole concept of that we as geeks need to start looking outside of the white male ecosystem. And so that's one of the interesting thing with tech tips, at least from a conceptual point of view, is the idea of women with long fingernails. You know, how do they use tablet computers? Because some women, it's not as popular, at least here in the U.S., but they used to have some long fingernails, like claws, and they don't really work too well on tablets. So simply like the idea of being able to use the fingernail itself in order to use a tablet or mobile device, I think that is a cool idea, and that is definitely an idea that they need to work on. So again, kind of like why I do these reviews, is just to get those ideas going through your head. Again, whether or not they actually functionally work as a product. So let's go over for a second and talk about our sponsors, and then we will go to our question and answer session, because the sponsors do help pay for all this stuff and all the really super cool stuff that is coming down the pike relatively shortly. Oops. Not that camera, we're going to that camera. So our newest sponsor, our latest sponsor is B&B Electronics. So B&B Electronics is where you go to buy industrial networking equipment. So Phoenix Contact manufactures industrial networking equipment. B&B Electronics, bb-elec.com, is the ones you would actually buy this stuff from. So, you know, Modbus gateway, isolated serial repeater. Basically, this is the stuff that most people don't really learn about, because this is like the serious industrial stuff. So B&B Electronics is my new sponsor. They have come out with a white paper on fiber optic networking and cabling installation. So if you want to know more about fiber optics, just go to the link below this video and take a look at it. I think it would be good for most of you guys. Of course, we've got Authenticate with their Silo product. So Authenticate Silo. This is the best password management solution for software as a service that I have found. If you have Twitter accounts, if you have Facebook accounts, if you have online bank accounts, and you need to share those accounts amongst different members in your organization, this is an overall infrastructure. This is not simply a Chrome plugin or a Firefox plugin. This is an infrastructure. An app is installed on your computer. It's encrypted communication up to their servers. It's just a great thing. So definitely take a look at Authenticate Silo. It is so complicated, I can't explain it to you in like 20 seconds here. Veeam, of course, VEEAM, if you just virtualize 100 servers and you're trying to figure out how the hell to back them up, Veeam will be the solution for you. They've got products for ESXi, they've got products for Hyper-V, and of course they have free stuff for you to play with. So if you're dealing with a virtualized environment and trying to figure out how to back up those individual instances, take a look at Veeam. Nerds We Can Fix That. So Nerds We Can Fix That is a computer services franchise system. So if you're thinking about creating a computer services company, you know, maintenance contracts, all that kind of stuff to fix companies' computers. If you don't want to worry about figuring out your own logo, copyright, trademark, all of that kind of horse crap, buying into a franchise system may, and I will say may, be the option for you. So Nerds We Can Fix That. Basically, you buy into their franchise system, you get their logo, you get their trademark, you get all of that kind of stuff. You can just go out there and start getting clients basically from day one. They have 57 franchises currently throughout the United States. They can franchise in every state but Hawaii, and they can franchise internationally. Don't ask me all the countries if you're interested, because some people keep asking me, and again, they're just my sponsor. I don't work for them. If you are interested, fill out this form, and they will get back to you with the information. Because again, like I said, a lot of you guys are asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. They're just my sponsor, dude. I don't know. Phoenix Contact. Phoenix Contact does the industrial networking equipment. If you're going to be putting networking equipment into factories, into oil refineries, basically places that need UL ratings, CE ratings, Phoenix Contact manufactures the equipment that you need. So take a look at phoenixcontact.com. TotalSim.com if you're looking to get your A+, your Net+, your Security Plus certification. They've got video training, practice tests, exam vouchers, and more. So if you're looking to get those certifications, take a look at TotalSim.com, TotalSem.com. If you're dealing with a Hyper-V virtualized environment. So Microsoft Hyper-V, and again, you're trying to figure out backup solutions, Altaro, Altaro.com may be the solution for you. They've got Hyper-V backup. They've also got Backup FS. They've got the free downloads and trials. So while you guys are going out there and playing with things in your little lab environment, you may want to download this, play with it, see how you like it. JustMail2.com, JustMail2. Basically, this was created by web developers. What they found is when they created websites for their clients, people would click the contact form and then not actually hit the submit button. They would like finish like half of the stuff in the contact form and then leave. So what they came up with is this is a contact app to try to make it easier for people to contact website owners when they go to the website. So you click the little contact or email button, and it's supposed to make that process a lot better. This is a startup company. They don't know if this is a good idea. They don't know if it's a bad idea. They don't know if it works well. They don't know if it's sucky. They want your opinion. So they've got a WordPress plugin. They've got a Drupal module. They would really like you to play with it, and then just tell them. So, email them at support@justmail2.com and tell them, this is awesome. This sucks. This would be cool if you did. Really, they don't care what you tell them. They just want you to tell them something, right? Spiceworks, of course. Spiceworks does the free mobile device management software, the free network management software, the free community with 4 million users. All of their stuff, again, is 100% free. So if you're an IT professional, you do need to take a look at Spiceworks because there's just no downside to Spiceworks. Adaxes, Adaxes, Active Directory Management and Automation. So if you're dealing with a large Active Directory infrastructure, you know that just because Windows is GUI doesn't mean it's easy, right? Adds, changes, moves, all that kind of stuff in a large infrastructure. Basically what Adaxes does is it tries to give you management and automation tools to make that whole process easier. And then of course, I talk about it every day, geekbraindump.com, my new little web project for you guys with all of the great user-submitted website or user-submitted content. But we will talk about that later. Do remember geekbraindump.com. Oops. And with that is all of our sponsors for the day. So we will get to your guys' questions. I did see that some people were kind of complaining a little bit about the non-live format for the interviews. And what I will tell you, just so you guys understand, is again, in the IT world, right, you're always cautious. I'm an IT guy. Like, I really try to tell you guys, I'm a geek at heart. I did not do like blogging and media stuff and then decide to become a geek. I am like a geek at heart. And so one of the things you learn as a geek that gets pounded into your head because of mistakes that happen is that you are always conservative with no matter what you do. You're always cautious and you're always conservative. So with that whole pre-taped interview, there was more reason for me doing it that way than what you saw there. So you guys just saw I went from me talking to you to the pre-taped interview, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't really understand. I mean, okay, he's pre-taping, but why isn't the guy there live? Blah, blah, blah. Well, the reason that I was doing that is to prove that this system would work so that I can now go out and again go to the real world and start interviewing people out in the wild. And I'm talking about real people, right? So I have Tony. You guys know Tony is my business development guy. He has done so well for me getting me all these free products. We actually have too many free products. I'm like backed up like 32 products to review. So I told him, stop giving me products to review. Stop. I have too much. I have like 2 months of stuff to review at this point. So stop giving me new products. So his whole job is now contacting the most impressive people he can contact and getting me to be able to do interviews with them. So again, venture capitalists, IP lawyers, angel funders, engineers, CEOs, founders, just basically I have given him carte blanche to say, you represent Eli the computer guy, go out there, hunt me down some big game. And then Tony said, well, I'm not really sure how many people we can find in Baltimore. And I looked at Tony and I said, Baltimore? Did I say you had to restrict yourself to Baltimore? Basically, the only restriction is, right now we're restricting ourselves to Denver. So I told him I don't really want to be flying any more than 3 hours for these interviews, but that's where we're going to. So right now he's lining up. We may be getting 4 or 5 interviews out of Boston. So, I mean, that's the thing, right? We're going to fly there, we're going to talk to these real people, and you're going to learn what these real people have to say. You know, I mean, that's the whole thing. You know, if you want to That's one of the problems that I see with most people is again that they don't ask. It's like, well, Eli, I want a raise. How do I get a raise? And it's like, well, go to your boss and ask him how to get a promotion. You know what I'm saying? I need a job. How do I get a job? Well, go to a tech recruiter and ask the tech recruiter what skills you need. It's like, and so that's the thing, is we're going to go to these people and they're going to say whatever it is they have to say. And again, like I say, when I do these interviews, you notice I'm not that opinionated in the interviews. Basically, I'm just the person to ask the question so that you can see what they have to say. Sometimes they agree with what I say and sometimes they disagree with what I say. Again, like I say with Chris Kennedy, I was talking about the fact that I would never hire a penetration tester that came and knocked on my door. But then he said, right in the middle of the interview, he's like, no, that's basically how we hired our guy. So I was like, okay, that's why we go out there. That's why we talk with these people. So with that, let us do a refresh. And by the way, I'm selling my kidney. And we will see what questions you guys have for today. The other reason also, just so you guys know, and something to think about for when you guys do things in your businesses, is I decided to do the pre-taped interviews also because, the best laid plans. My thought originally doing the live interviews, see my great inspiration for doing the live interviews is that I would bring these people in here. I would ask them questions for like an hour, and then we would open it up, and you guys would ask the questions. And I was like, wow, that's going to be that's an amazing concept. But, as I say, best laid plans. Unfortunately, I was bringing the people in here, web app company CEOs, these kind of people. And then basically we were getting the questions about whether or not they had their A+. And it's like, oh. So that was one of the reasons I decided to stop doing that too. The original, and that's one of the things you guys have to understand about business, right? It's not about right or wrong. It's not about finding the perfect solution. It's this constant evolution of what works. And so that was my thing. Like when I did the live interviews, the idea is they would come in, we would do the interview live, and then you guys would ask great questions. The problem that I ran into was that meant these people had to come by 3 o'clock. You have to be here at 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Which means you have to show up earlier, 2:30 to 5 o'clock, which means you have to come out to where I am, which is north of Baltimore. So that was one of the big problems that I ran into, is getting these people to come all the way here. And then the other thing is my genius idea was having you guys ask questions, and then everybody still kept asking me whether or not they should get their CCNA. I'm just saying. But anyways, so that's why we're shifting and we're changing and all that kind of stuff. Anyways. Let us go. Why do you turn it on so early? So I post the YouTube live video link an hour before the show, because if you guys, what I've found, if you want to do live events, the longer you post the link before the show, the more viewers you get. So if I post the link an hour before the show, many times I'll have 50 viewers staring at a blank screen. Half an hour before the show, and that's a good thing. I would rather have more viewers on my show than less. So that's why. The longer the further in the future that you post links for the live show, the more people that you drag into it for whatever reason. How does a that was my Microsoft Surface failing as a coaster. I had my French press on my Microsoft Surface, using my Microsoft Surface as a coaster, and it failed as a coaster. I just want to tell you that Microsoft Surface is so bad it failed as a coaster. Oh, really? Seriously? Anyways, let me go up here. Disable the automatic updates and scroll down. Okay. How does a LAMP server work on Linux when you have it installed in your personal computer? How does it use the resources of the computer like RAM and storage? My lecture wouldn't tell me. So when you're talking about a LAMP server, you're talking about a server that has Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. LAMP, right? So a LAMP server has those 3 components, and they also usually have an interface called phpMyAdmin installed, just to make your life a lot easier. So if you have a Linux machine, remember with Linux, like with Windows, you have server operating systems and desktop operating systems, and there's a decent sized division between those two. It's like you can play World of Warcraft on a server server 2012 box, but it's not really built for it. In the Linux world, it's not that way, basically. When you're dealing with a Linux computer, it's just a computer. If you set it up to provide services on the network, then it's a server. If you set it up with GNOME or KDE and OpenOffice, then you use it as a desktop. But essentially, more or less, the operating system is basically identical. You simply add components to it. So it's like if I had Ubuntu server, right, the CLI, you go to it, I could actually install KDE or GNOME or the whole desktop package onto that, and now all of a sudden I have the ability to use Firefox and OpenOffice and GIMP. So when you turn your desktop computer into a LAMP, when you start doing basically make it a LAMP server, those services that it's providing are provided the same way as basically OpenOffice or Firefox or any of that. So Apache requires so much RAM and so much CPU. And so when you start the Apache service, it will just take that RAM and CPU just the same way as if you open up Firefox. Firefox will take the RAM and CPU. Then you start the MySQL service. Then you start the Do you start PHP service? I guess that's already built in. But anyways, you start those services, and basically those server services are simply pieces of software that are installed on that computer that happen to provide server services versus email, GIMP or something. Does that make sense? Basically, server services, as far as resources are concerned, are used more or less the same way as client software, such as, again, OpenOffice, LibreOffice, Firefox, whatever. In order to gain experience, I'm going to try to be an IT consultant for local churches. Yay! Then move on to small businesses. Yay! I don't know how to approach them, though. How would you suggest I do so? Computer repair? Computer repair? I'm going to write a whole book. I am going to write, like, the Startup Founder's Handbook. The 100% proven way to gain clients. And it's going to be like this massive book. And then you open it up, and all it's going to have is like a bunch of flyers in it that you can rip out, and at the bottom it'll say, knock on a door and give it to somebody. And really, I can't. Again, you guys want to... Here's the biggest problem I have with people in the world, right? And maybe it's just my low brain. Like I say, I'm probably an Aspie. I don't know. I haven't gotten diagnosed, but it seems like a good diagnosis for me. And so one of the things with us is our brains apparently just kind of like cut through the crap and kind of see the world as it is. And that's one of my problems with people so many times is they want to make this stuff so much more complicated than it is. They want to have this idea of all this convoluted stuff, and it's not. How do you get clients? You knock on the door, you say, hey, do you need computer help? Hey, do you need computer help? And then you have to understand the math. So the math is like a 1% client acquisition rate for knocking on doors. So that means every 100 doors you knock on means you get one client. If you're doing it for free to churches, that's probably a lot better ratio right there. But basically that's it. So it's like everybody wants to come up with like this whole complex, like, I'm going to come up with this insane sales strategy. And then people like me, we just go out and we Xerox 1,000 flyers and we just knock on the doors. And then like 2 weeks later, I'm like up to my eyeballs in work, and the other person coming up with like the insane marketing strategy is still coming up with their insane marketing strategy. So it really is. I can't like... I can't overemphasize how simple it is. You just simply go to the churches, go to the nonprofits, whatever. Just walk in, go, hey, this is what I'm doing. Do you guys need any help? And go from there. You really do not overcomplicate it. Question, you lost a sponsor. No, I did not, but thank you for saying. I have 10 sponsors. I'm full up on my 10 sponsors. I forgot to add my new sponsor into the defaults, so you did not see my new sponsor. Though I will say, I was a little worried about the title sponsorship. If you guys are interested in the title sponsorship, that works out really well. Spiceworks for last week when they had the title sponsorship, they got over 1,700 clicks on their ebook, plus like 400 clicks on the profiles. So that's like 2,100 clicks they got in like 1 week. So I'm not overly emphasizing title sponsorship for any of you guys because it is pricey. It's $1,000 a week, right? But it apparently does work very, very, very well. So just for you guys to think about, if you guys have an extra $1,000 in your back pocket, you wanna hand over for title sponsorship. Eli, I looked around on the site of FreeNAS, and at About FreeNAS Video, I see a review in front of you. Could it be that FreeNAS has copied it? No. So I did a class on FreeNAS, or a review on FreeNAS. Year and a half ago, and FreeNAS liked it a lot, so they have embedded it on their website. So that's a cool thing with YouTube, is you can embed the video. So it's not that they stole the video, they have simply embedded my video on their website, so people go to the FreeNAS website, and then they see me, and it's good all the way around. What do you think about Hunter Coin? Oh, just for craps and giggles, let us see Hunter Coin. Hunter Coin, Hunter Coin, Hunter Coin. What is Hunter Coin? There are so many of these coins now. This is all gonna blow up, and I am just going to laugh and laugh. There's gonna be people crying. All their mined coins are gonna be worthless, and it's like, yeah. Some of us have been saying it for a while. Hunter Coin, a human mineable cryptocurrency. What does that even mean? Hunter Coin fact sheet. The hell? PDF. Hunter Coin is it's all revolutionary, right? Hunter Coin is a revolutionary new type of cryptocurrency that incorporates massively multiplayer online gaming. Participants collect Hunter Coins inside a virtual world through the application of human effort, strategy, and teamwork. Hunter Coins have a real-world financial value, and unlike other cryptocurrencies, Hunter Coin is affordably accessible to the majority because dedicated and expensive mining hardware isn't a necessity. In short, get paid to play. Wow, look at that. That looks like a video game from like 1988. Wow, can I play a video game from 1988 and get paid for it too? I don't know. Hunter Coin? Oh, guys, come on. Just learn how to play the stock market. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to get lost in the spin cycle of all this financial crap, just start playing the stock market. I'm telling you guys, you will be much happier at the end of the day doing the stock market. Eli, in my search I have found the QNAP TS421 that I can buy for the price of 445 euros in Belgium. Is this a good price? Can you have a look? Oh, you guys, what is this? I am now the shopping guide for you. Okay, only because I'm vaguely curious, I will do this. 421. So the QNAP TS4. So I like my QNAP. So let's see here. In the US, so Newegg.com has it for $499. Tiger Direct, I would also buy it from for $526. So you're saying it would be $611 over there. So you basically are going to be paying like $111 more in Europe than you would in the US. Sadly, that sounds about right. God bless America. So I don't know. So if you were buying it here, I would say $611 is too much. From what I have seen with European prices, though, you guys really do pay more for a lot of stuff. Again, you guys may have free health care and a decent education system and all that, but darn it, if you want to be materialistic, Europe is not the place to go. It is curious. Like, I get so many European fans. They're like, how do I buy this product? And I go, well, if you're in the US, you go to Amazon.com and you have it in your hands by like tomorrow. In France, I have no clue how you buy it. So, yes. So I would say here in the US, you're paying $111 too much. Over there, I can't tell you. What desk do you have? I like it very much. I like it too. IKEA. IKEA is very good for the computer geek desk because it's big, right? Well, you kind of saw it in the interview. So like my desk goes all the way from over here, like all the way there, down, back, over, and you could see it in the interview. So it is great. I can't say enough. IKEA desks, IKEA. What? Yeah, but like what model? You just go to the IKEA and you say that one. The cool thing with these IKEA desks, why these are the best for geeks, right? So I'm not a huge IKEA fan, right? IKEA is one of those stores that's really awesome when you're 23. And then like when you're 33, you start throwing it all in the trash and getting real furniture. But the one thing that I will say is for geek desks, they're absolutely awesome because this is configurable. So it's like, I have this middle section here with the curve part, and that's one piece that I bought as a piece. Then over here is an add-on piece that I bought as a piece. Then past that is a little curved half moon piece I bought as a piece. Then over here is another piece I bought as a piece. And then here's a curve. So you can configure this however the hell you want, which is really, really awesome. So you can configure this so it completely wraps around you. So if you want to be like the super programming geek, like I could have this so it literally wraps all the way around me. You can have it so it's here and it goes down long like a bench. The legs, you can have them extend all the way up so you can stand at it or sit at it. So I don't know. You go to IKEA and they still sell them. They still sell them by the truckload because they really are. They're a great concept. I don't know. So you just go to IKEA and go, I want one of those and one of those, and then you just buy it and build it basically. And anyways, as far as the model number goes, I've had this for a long time. I've had this for like 6 years. So I don't know. What is your opinion of Raspberry Pi? Great for a hobby. I worry that you guys want to do too much with Raspberry Pi. Again, whatever product you're buying, the big important thing is not to believe it will do what you want it to do simply because you can afford it. You have to remember, all these things are built for a specific purpose. So Raspberry Pis, basically the idea was a very low-cost computer so that hobbyists can start playing with them and doing wacky stuff. So, you know, the lowest model Raspberry Pi is like $25 and the higher model's like $35. But you gotta realize, guys, this is $25 and $35 computers. You get what you pay for. You know what I'm saying? So if you just want a little hobby thing, again, you want to put a computer on your refrigerator. You want a computer that tracks little bits of information in your house. That kind of stuff they're great for. If you want to create even a file server that's gonna get very much data pushed to it or pulled to it, it'll probably choke under the load. So that's what I would say with the Raspberry Pi. I mean, they're great for little hobbyist things and to play around with, but you get what you pay for. You know what I'm saying? You buy an i5, you get an i5. You buy a Raspberry Pi, you get a Raspberry Pi. Would you be interested in seeing video production streaming content submitted to geekbraindump.com? If you want to embed videos, you can send me the video to embed. Well, I don't know. We don't have any streaming servers, right? So all of this is basically just a crappy-ass WordPress site. So there's no streaming servers. If you just send me a video file, I don't have anything to do with it. I don't want to mess with that. Do I want to embed videos? I would say probably not. One of the things I'm thinking with the whole geekbraindump.com is just going back to old-fashioned text. One of the things I'm noticing with it, since a lot of people aren't submitting pictures, is when you have a text-based website, oh my golly, that thing is just so much more reactive than all these websites with so much crap on them. You know, like all these websites nowadays, you have all these flash banners and video and music and pictures and all this crap. And so even if you got like a MacBook Pro Retina, sometimes it like kind of like crawls on a web page because so much crap is loading. And so that's kind of like what I like with geekbraindump.com, and I think I want to keep it there, is more just pure text-based. The idea you can get on there, it's much like a newspaper. You can just click on things, you can read them. Not a lot of other stuff is loading up. Like I'm looking at monetizing, basically putting ads on there, but like we'll do it all text. So I'm thinking like basically keeping geekbraindump.com predominantly text, just because it's so much, you know, like I say, it is so much faster, it's so much smoother. So yeah. So let us say no to the videos right now. Let us say no to the videos. ZFS, free NAS, is built to use it, is better than RAID, but a little more complicated to implement. If you hate RAID so much, what is the alternative solution if a drive fails? You have a big ass drive. You go out buy a 4 terabyte hard drive now, and you just back it up to another 4 terabyte hard drive, and away you go. I think a single hard drive with backup is the way to go. Is what I would do. I would have, and like basically what I have is I would have the operating system on a small, very fast hard drive. So you back up the operating system and applications into a real backup file. Then for your storage drive, basically just with software you can mirror the data. So I would do something like that. I would just do simple single drives. I hate RAID. I hate RAID. Would you recommend being a Flex developer as a good career? Is Flex still around? I saw that before. It's Adobe Flex. It's Flex development. I haven't heard people talk about Flex development for a while. Flex is now being developed at the Apache Software Foundation. Get involved today. I don't know. Well, look. It would not be the first programming language I would think of, obviously. It's like, one code base, multiple devices. The open source framework for building expressive web and mobile applications. How many people actually use Flex? I don't know, do any of you guys use Flex? When was the last time you guys heard of Flex? Flex was like one of those things you heard about and then weren't really sure what the hell happened to it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just not saying... you know what I'm saying? Like, I know people who do C#. I definitely know Python, Ruby. I can't remember the last time I heard anybody talk about Flex. So if you have a job offer, go for it. But, I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. When was the last time any of you guys heard of Flex? Question. Do you rock, Eli, or do you rock? I rock. Is that raw? What is the difference between a sysadmin and sysengineer and network admin versus network engineer? Are the engineers like really engineers, like computer engineers, or are they just technicians? We had a question like this yesterday. Why are systems engineers called engineers? Dude, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting... I have no idea. The difference between sysadmins, sysengineers, versus network admins, network engineers, is that systems people deal with operating systems. Linux, Mac, Windows. Systems. Unix, right? They're the administrator, that kind of administration. Network engineers, admins, are the ones that deal with the datacom equipment. Juniper, Barracuda, Cisco, obviously, routers, switches, wireless access points. So the sys guys, the systems guys, deal with basically operating systems, think of it that way, and the network guys deal with the networking equipment. When you get into admins versus engineers and all that kind of horse crap, I'm sure there's some human resources wonk out there that has this all like, you know, out on some kind of organizational chart or something. I don't know. It's like if I need a network admin or a network engineer, I just say, where the hell can I find a network admin? You know what I'm saying? I guess the engineers might build it. I guess that would be the thought. Like, the administrators would administer the systems. The engineers would build the systems. So if you're going to be building out a place, you would build it out. But but I don't. Again, you guys can say. I think that's a lot of HR mumbo jumbo. Question: do you have a business plan? No. I have an idea, a thought, an imagining. No, I don't have a business plan. I'm just kind of running this whole thing by the seat of my pants, and it's working pretty well so far. What you have to understand is in business, there are basically two types of business. You have like the old guard businesses, gas stations, pizza shops, doctor's offices, that kind of stuff. And then you have like the new businesses. And the thing is, the old types of businesses are completely fine, highly profitable, but people know how to build them. Like, you come up with a business plan for a gas station, you come up with a business plan for a construction company, you come up with a business plan for a roofing company, you come up with a business plan for a doctor's office, because everybody basically knows how that goes. I mean, maybe you need a little bit of new technology, maybe you can outsource things that you couldn't outsource 10 years ago. But essentially, you walk into a doctor's office in 2014, and it's a lot like a doctor's office in 2004, which is a lot like a doctor's office in 1994. You get what I'm saying? Like, so with those folks, you come up with a very detailed business plan because you know the steps that you need to take, you know the goals that you need to accomplish, you know the milestones you need to hit, and so you come out with this very complicated business plan so that you can make sure you're following the plan. You have a plan. The thing is, with most of these new businesses, like Eli the Computer Guy and some of this other stuff, is nobody knows what the hell we're doing. Like, we are just winging this horse crap. Again, as I talk about, and a lot of people laugh, but it really is true. What I am doing now, oddly, and like I say, it's not egotistical that I say this, but it's very odd. This actually, in fact, is cutting edge. I mean, the thought that I can sit here in my guest bedroom, send out video, high definition, literally all over the world, that we can have vaguely real-time communication back and forth. All of these things that I am doing now literally were impossible 10 years ago. In 2004, this basically couldn't happen, at least with the budget I have. 2010, it would be very hard. 2014, again, if you look at what I'm doing, very few other people are even trying to attempt this. And so when you're in this type of business, you don't have a hard and fast business plan because you're just really not sure what's gonna happen next. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, again, like I talk about, like how I make my money, how I get my sponsors, is I'm doing my thing, and then people come to me and they go, "Hey Eli, we'd like you to do this." I'm like, "Huh, that's interesting," and we'd like to pay you this. And it's like, "Ooh, look, I have a new product to sell." Really, like I say, like when Spiceworks came to me, that's how I started my sponsorship program. They literally came to me. They said, "We want to pay you this much money." I went, "Ooh, thank you. I guess I'm now selling sponsors," right? So yeah, it depends on what you're doing. The more conventional your business is, the more classic your business is, the more of a business plan you'll have. And it's not simply about being high tech. It's not like that I'm a technology company, therefore I don't have a big business plan. It's just specifically what I'm doing. So like, if you have a web development company, so we had Brian Singer in here, Foxtrot Media, if you have somebody like Todd Marks of MindGrub. I'm not saying they have great business plans, but they will have more of a business plan. Why? Because it's more of the classical contractor scenario, right? They may be selling code, but it's still a contractor. You have a client that comes to you, the client has a project that needs to be built, you pull the resources together in order to get that project to be built, you know that you have this little growth plan going on, blah, 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 blah. So even though it's technology, it's still classic. That's still conventional in a lot of ways. So no, I am winging. Guys, if you haven't figured out I am winging this thing, wow, you've just not been paying attention. I am so winging this. Again, like I say, who the heck, like, I mean, that's what I'm running into. Like, it's like, seriously, when I just had another contact with my little television show that I might be doing. And literally, where the hell did that even come from? I was just sitting there, minding my own business, and I get the random ass email saying, "Hey, take this email seriously. I am a TV exec. We'd like you for a show. I mean, where would that have fit into my business plan? Like, I didn't even know it existed until, again, they came to me. So, yeah. Where can I get a software contract for my clients to get paid, project value, milestones, and subcontracting? A lawyer. A lawyer will be your answer. You pay a dumb amount of money. So if you want a lawyer to write up your contracts, you're looking at anywhere between about $1,000 to $4,000 for your contract. And they will write you up a beautiful contract. But it is a work of art that they will create for you. And so basically you have to think about it. You have to think about what the hell you want in life. But you go there, you write it all out, you make sure you know exactly what you want in the contract, and you go and they will write out a beautiful masterpiece, and believe me, they will charge you out the nose just as if it's a piece of art. You might as well go home, frame the damn thing, and put it on your wall, because some artwork would be a lot less expensive than that contract. But yeah, that's what you do. You go out, you get a lawyer, and go from there. Do you have a business manual on how everything works? If you have to make a franchise to replicate your business, do I don't have a business manual. I literally I don't know what I'm going to be doing in the next 3 hours half the time. Again, the more solid, the more conventional your business is, the more you will have to create a manual. So if you're going to be creating a computer services company where you're going to be hiring multiple employees that are basically going to do the same things, you're going to hire 10 field technicians. Each field technician is going to support 10 clients. All those 10 clients are going to have Windows servers and Windows operating systems. That kind of you come up with manuals there to code what is it called? You write it. How to create a book, right? Again, but that's the more conventional way you have a business, the more of that paperwork and documentation you need. How important is it to get a graphic designer for a web development company? Very, very. People like pretty things. Oh, so pretty. And you have to realize, especially like when web design when you get web design projects, a lot of times you get women hiring you for the web design project. Kind of like the CEO or whatever. They will offload getting websites created to secretaries, to assistants, to a lot of the women folk. And women like pretty. Women like pretty. Let me tell you, again, from the commercial world, from the business world, the stuff I could sell a man and the stuff I could sell a woman were light years apart. It really was. And the reason is because I tried to sell women the exact same things I sold men. And that was not always a pretty situation. This is not like Eli with like some like, oh, you're just prejudiced. This is, no, I treated women exactly like I treated men, and it went bad. It went so bad. They did not like that. Yes, you need a graphic designer. You can get a contract graphic designer. So I know a lot of web development companies around here. They subcontract out the design work. So what they will do is they will build everything. They will build the infrastructure. They'll build the website. They'll build all the columns. They'll do all the headers. So it's like it's built, but it's ugly as snot. And then they contracted out to the graphic design folks. The graphic design people go in there, they do the fonts and they do the CSS and they do the colors and they do the background, and then it comes out and it looks magnificent. Right? So the prettier your things are, again, the easier it is to sell. So you don't, again, with graphic designers, you don't necessarily have to have them on board. But you do have to be able to go out and get your hands on one and have them do the work relatively quickly. What software are you using for streaming your videos? I don't use software. I use all hardware, basically. Well, I have something called a Blackmagic ATEM television studio. So if you have not seen Blackmagic and you want to do this kind of stuff, Blackmagic. Go to Blackmagic. This is the greatest stuff in the world. It really is. Blackmagicdesign.com, and I have bought a lot of their products. So if we go over to products, basically what I use is I have this thing called the ATEM Television Studio. That costs $1,000. And then out of that, the video gets shoved into what's called the Intensity Extreme. So it exports out of the television studio into this. This has a Thunderbolt port that then connects into my MacBook Retina. And then on the MacBook Retina, I have Flash Media Encoder doing the encoding in real time. So that is basically what's going on. But if you are thinking about doing any of this YouTube video stuff, go take a look at Blackmagic. It is amazing, and you can't beat the price. It's a little more than a little quirky. It's Blackmagic. Here's what you have to understand when you go out and buy Blackmagic stuff is once you get it configured and working, it is amazing. Just go out and buy yourself a 6-pack of beer the first day you're trying to get it configured, because it will drive you out of your damn mind doing it. The initial configuration is horrible, but once you get it running, it's amazing. Question: how do you suggest to enter the real IT business world? I'm a fan of your working brain and thought if you could give us an advice. I'm a first-year student with programming major. I tell you all, guys, you got to figure out how to do consulting. You got to work on your own as a freelancer, and I will tell you, the places you can get to as a freelancer are just absolutely amazing. If you're willing to be a consultant, the sky is so much the limit. I mean, again, like money, finances, I mean, you just make so much more money, especially if you're a decent business person. And then also, you don't have to deal with the same crap as employees, right? You know, with employees, if you have a bad boss, or if you work for a company and they start screwing with you, you're kind of screwed, right? Your client is that one company. When you're a consultant, you're working for multiple companies. So frankly, if one of them starts treating you like an ass, you just stop answering the phone calls. Which I've done before. You know what I'm saying? Like you guys always think like I want to be like Eli the computer guy is so snarky and mean. And I tell you what, a lot of times I don't want to get into arguments, right? A lot of times I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this. If we get into I don't want hard sales, I don't want arguments, I don't want any of that horse crap. And so it really is. Like the people call and it's just like click. Leave a voicemail, delete. Why? Who the hell cares? Don't want to deal with it. And that's one of the things you can do as a consultant. Not only that, what's really nice is that when you're a consultant, you really do control more of your destiny. Like when the recession happened, where I was living at the time. So the recession, I closed down my business and was trying to figure out what to do, how to make money. And then a neighbor of mine was an executive who got fired. And it was really sad to see. So, like, I was sitting there, and literally, like, the day after I closed down my business, I'm sitting there thinking up ways to create a new business and make money. He was sitting there, just kind of twiddling his fingers, putting out resumes, and hoping somebody would email back. And that's the nice part about being a consultant, is like as an employee, it is all or nothing. You're either employed or you're not employed. As a consultant, it's great. You can go out there and you can do a little project here and you can do a little project here. And you know what? You may not be making $10,000 a month, but you're making $2,000, which is better than nothing. You know what I'm saying? You can go out there and you can figure out a way to make money. Whereas, like I say, employees are just stuck. If nobody's responding to your resume and you're an employee, you're screwed. Again, like I say, as a consultant, you can go out and you can knock on doors. And that's the thing. Like I say, that's what I want you guys to understand about business, is don't lock yourself into an idea. You know, you knock on doors and you're like, computer repair, web design, and they say, well, I don't need computer repair done, but I tell you what, if you put that computer desk together, I'll give you $50. And you look at it and you go, well, that's $50 more than I have, and it's a computer desk, right? It has computer in it. Sure, I'll put together a computer desk. And then you do that, and then, like I say, it's $50 in your pocket. Is it necessarily what you want to do? No, it's not always what you want to do, but it's $50 in your pocket, and you actually got a client of some sort. You know what I'm saying? So, I would say just go out there and start getting clients. Start working as a consultant. Is what I would say. Question. Will Chris Kennedy be going back through the questions and answering the ones that apply to him after the video posts for viewing? If not, you should consider it. I don't know. I do think I saw him on here. Yes, I see him up here. So he may go through here and answer the questions. I would suggest for anybody that I interview that would be a very good social media advertising thing. But in general, I'm not really going to push it. Again, like I say, my hope with these interviews is that I'm getting real people. And so real people don't necessarily have a lot of time to deal with you. I mean, like when I did the interviews over at 1776, I mean, it really was like those two people I interviewed, whoever the hell they were, they came to me like 5 minutes before we started doing the interview, and as soon as that interview was done, they shook my hands and ran off to do something else. So a lot of the people that I interview simply are not going to have the time, energy, and frankly aren't going to give two craps to answer questions afterwards. So I don't know. Chris Kennedy, it seems like he might be, but yeah. I hope he is paying Eli well. Interviewees don't pay me. Nope. Interviewees, again, as I say with all this stuff, I do try to keep this pure. I do try to keep, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand my own failings, and I understand my own place on the slippery slopes. And so how I get paid, I try to keep that out of the content I create as much as possible. Yeah, if you get what I'm saying. Like, because I don't want people to pay for things like interviews, because as soon as they start paying for the interviews, then it's really easy to start, I don't know, doing stupid stuff, you know, advertising for them or making it, getting rid of the, like, any editorial responsibility. So in general, like I say, with the interviewees and all that, they don't pay me. They may compensate me for like some travel and all that kind of stuff. Spiceworks is a little different, just because, again, I have used Spiceworks since like 2006, so I actually trust them as a company. I actually like them as a company, so I really don't mind them paying me a decent amount of money to fly down there. And I also think, like, with that's very valuable, right? You know, somebody paying to come into my room and talk to you guys, what's the value? What is the real value there? I may get paid, but are you guys really going to get a lot out of it, right? Whereas if I get flown somewhere, like they're bringing me down to their headquarters in Austin, well, what that means is I am going to be there for a week. I am going to be talking to the CEO. I'm going to be talking to their development people. I'm going to be talking to their HR people. I'm going to be running around their headquarters. So there's a lot of intrinsic value that goes well beyond a decent little paycheck that I'm getting for going down there. So that's what I would say. I am. I mean, again, like, I believe in life the way you make the real money is by focusing on the business. You focus on providing what your customers and your clients want, and then the money follows. The money follows. The better I can make this show, the more money I'll make. Is the way I think about it. But if I start selling out, right? If I start selling out that little seat beside me and interviewing anybody who will give me $1,000, again, that's a nasty slippery slope that I think would be my damnation. Question to Chris, Adam, Chris, Kevin. Uh-oh, you guys really are getting into a whole conversation now. Adam, Chris, darn, Chris, Adam. Thumbs down, boo! Oh, let's see here. Reminds me of the NES Power Glove, completely useless. Oh yeah, the tech tip. Yeah, I was kind of sad with the tech tips. They really are pretty bad. Maybe tech tips, middle finger, Weston G's, Edom. I am a franchisee. Chris Kennedy. Question Chris. Question Chris. Chris. Kevin. Okay, you guys really are. Question to Chris. Oh, wow. Do we have no questions for Eli the computer? Okay, well, now we got some questions. Have a Raspberry Pi. Let's see here. Question. You be interested in seeing... Oh, no. Yeah, that's weird. Question. Geek Brain Dump. You say to provide bio information, options to provide Google Plus all the way to YouTube information. What about a personal website in the bio information? Was this an oversight? I thought I said website. No, if you submit anything to geekbraindump.com, make sure to give me a bio with whatever the hell you want to tell the world. Your Google Plus, your Facebook, your Twitter, your website. I'll throw it all into that bio box. And I would say you guys should start using this more. Again, you know, there are times in life where human beings really confuse me. Because I tell you guys, I'm like, look, I am creating this website so that you guys can create content and show the world how amazing and cool and smart you are. I'm actually paying for this. I've started to pay a little bit of money and some infrastructure stuff, but that'll be something for a different time. So really, I'm focusing on this, and the whole idea is for promotional value for you guys. And then you don't know how many of you folks, like, literally just give me your first and last name and that's it. And it's just like, well, come on. At least give a LinkedIn account or something. You know, that's kind of like, you know, as when Chris Kennedy was here and he gave that pitch at the end, the ask at the end, is you guys should, if you guys are given the ability to tell the world about yourself, take it. Take it, please. So yes, if you submit, you know, whatever you want in the bio box, I will basically shove it in there. So yes. Adam, take it easy. Man. Adam, answer. Don't understand. Only take cash. Adam, answer. Your French press. Most countries. Question. What's the deal with your Lisp? For example, say PHP or Czech. Yeah, jackass, I have a Lisp. What? What's the deal with the Lisp? Well, I was born with a speech impediment, which, again, ironically, interestingly enough, apparently a lot of people with Aspies, people with Asperger's, apparently have a speech impediment. So, yes, way back in first grade, I actually used to get trucked off with a little, what are they called? Voice therapist? I don't know. I mean, basically, I got shoved in a room with 4 other kids that had all kinds of weird ass speaking problems. Yes, I have a Lisp. What do you mean? What's the deal with it? I was born with a Lisp. Though I will say again, one of the things that I'm trying to pound through your guys' heads is like the whole point that you guys can do things that you don't realize or don't feel that you can do. Again, I have a Lisp. Cheese, Jesus, all kinds of weird stuff. I can't come to Jesus because I can't say his name. That's what I should... Then, you know what? The next right-wing born again that said, I'll be like, I can't come to Jesus. I can't. I'd love to come to Jesus, but I can't come to Jesus. Anyways, but the point. This is one of the points that I'm trying to make to you guys and pound into your head, your very, very thick skulls, is think about that. I have a very pronounced lisp and speech impediment for some of these words, and yet I am sitting here doing these live videos. This is my job. This is how I get paid. This is how I get paid very well. And I'm not hiding it. This isn't like I have a stutter and I went to a therapist and you would never know that I had a stutter because it's been cured. Hallelujah, it's been cured. I have a speech impediment that is relatively obvious that there's not a whole hell of a lot I can do about, but that doesn't stop me from coming here and doing a live YouTube show 2 hours a day, because you know what? Screw it. You guys like to watch, you know what I'm saying? But again, that's one of the points I would make to you guys. You know, I get a lot of people, you know, Eli, I'm a felon. Eli, I have a GED. Eli, who the hell knows? Any of a number of problems. And that's, again, the difference in life between people that are successful and people that are abject failures are the people that are successful. They accept the issues that they have. They accept their limitations. And then they just keep moving on. They just keep doing it, right? You know, when I started doing this a while ago, I knew. I mean, the speech impediment is, the lisp is obvious. It's as obvious as my balding head. But it was like, well, what the hell? Let me just try to do these videos. And, you know, if people understand what the hell I'm saying, then we'll keep doing the videos. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. What's the deal with the lisp? I be born with it. Oh, how is a Microsoft Surface 2? Is it better than first Surface? If you believe Microsoft, does anybody still believe Microsoft anymore? If you believe Microsoft, I have a bridge to sell you. In Florida. I don't know. I went to the store the other day, and it was like, okay, you know, I'm Eli. I will change my opinion. If I see fit. So I went to the store the other day when I was buying some of this other stuff for the Nuke or the Nuke or whatever it's called. And I was playing with the Surface 2 there, and I don't know. It seems like the same old piece of crap that the Surface 1 is. Like, it really was. Like, I was sitting there playing with it, and I'm like, I don't, where is the improvement here? I mean, I guess it must have a better processor or whatever, but it's like, wow, it's a faster piece of crap. With a better battery life. Hey, look! This piece of crap has twice the battery life and is twice as fast. Wow! Does it make it twice the coaster? Yeah, no. I really, Eli, want to know if there are jobs available for web programmers. Yes! Of course there are jobs for web programmers. Lots of jobs for web programmers. Zillions and zillions of jobs for web programmers. I have a Raspberry Pi, but I haven't done much with it. I keep meaning to buy a Raspberry Pi so I can do a video about a Raspberry Pi, but that's my personal opinion of the Raspberry Pi. I have the feeling I'm going to buy a Raspberry Pi, I'm going to show you guys, do an unboxing and all that horse crap with the Raspberry Pi, and then I'm going to shove it in a drawer, is my thought. Question. When you got your first IT job, what certifications did you have at the time, and what job was it? What did you have to do? Well, technically, I suppose you could say my first IT job was in the Army. So, it's the Army. I signed my life away. I signed the dotted line and signed my life away. So I guess that was my first, technically, an IT job, because I did electronics repair in the Army. And that was mid-90s, so... like I said, it was a different world in a lot of ways. My first IT job was with the regional support engineer, flying all over the country and fixing everything with a company. So at that point, I had my military electronics training behind me, which was a lot. I mean, it was really surprising because I got medically discharged. Because, I mean, again, how the world changes, just so you guys can, especially you youngins, so you guys can think about this, the world can shift in a heartbeat. Because I'm telling you, I got medicaled in 97. And one of the reasons I accepted the medical is, one, they were like, hey, you can take this money. They're like, here's a lot of money if you go away. Or you can stay. I'm like, no, I'll take the money. But anyways, but the thing was, like, I was down at Bragg. And all my buddies were getting the crap beat out. And that was the thing. It was peacetime, right? So it was 97. Peacetime. I mean, who the hell were we going to go to war with, like Afghanistan? But so what was weird, though, is that the military, they paid a lot of money for my training. Like, a lot. I went through 900 hours of electronics training. 40 hours a week for 7.5 months of military electronics training. And believe me, military training, they really do shove this crap in your head. They really, oh my god, they just shovel stuff in your head. And you got to learn it too. Like, they test you every week or two. So if you don't learn, you get pushed back, and it's all bad. So I did that. Like I said, I screwed up my wrist, so I got a medical discharge because who the hell were we going to go to war with? They spent, I don't know, $150,000 or something ridiculous in my training. And then we're like, here, take some money and leave. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So anyway, so I got out, then I did my criminal justice degree in, like I say, about 2.5 years. And then I've gone through the MCSE NT 4.0 training, the boot camp, and when I got my first job, I had 3 of the tests done. So, I had military experience and training, I had college BS degree, BS degree, and I had the MCSE class and 3 of those tests done when I got my first job. But again, but that was the thing. For me, I didn't go into help desk. Like, my first job in IT, it really was. I did $500,000 build outs. Literally, when computers went down, I called the travel department and said, hey, I need to be on a flight in 2 hours. So that was the other thing. Like, I had a lot of stuff getting that first job, but I went in at a much higher level than you guys would. Like, going in for a help desk position, nah. But, yeah. Eli's answer for everything. Depends on what you want to do in life. Yep. Eli, I want to know if there are jobs available for web programmers. Go to monster.com. There are a zillion jobs out there for web programmers. Do you like the Intel Nuke so far? I haven't had time to play with it enough. Since I did the interview and everything yesterday, I plan to build the Nuke tomorrow. Is my plan, so I don't know. What is your opinion about the Galaxy S4 explosive batteries? Have they gotten any worse? So I have heard of, like, the mobile devices and the smartphones, the batteries exploding, but I had the idea it was a really small fraction of them doing it. So I don't really know. I'll take a look after the show. But I don't really have a big opinion on it. It's like one of those things when, like, batteries explode, everybody freaks the hell out. But again, it's one of those statistical things. Like, it's really bad. If a battery explodes on you, it sucks. But, like, when you look at the statistics, it's like 100 million smartphones created, 50 batteries explode. Again, you don't want to be the poor bastard. You don't want to be one of the 50. On the other hand, I'm not exactly scared of being one of the 50. So I might look at it afterwards. But yeah, I don't have a lot of it. It's kind of like just one of those things. Like, batteries can explode in the right situations. You produce enough of them and crap happens sometimes. Eli, which in the IT field has better prospect, programming, security, or networking? Programming. If you want to make money, go into programming. Just how it is. I heard lots of bad things about IKEA, but everybody seems to like it. Yeah, I don't know. IKEA, Lego, CBT. You guys are so weird, like CBT Nuggets. Yes, I used to work for them. I don't know what else. What is legal logs? What is the difference between Ubuntu server and the desktop version? The difference between Ubuntu server and the desktop version is that the desktop version has the GUI on it, essentially. So when you install Ubuntu desktop, you get the it's GNOME, right? No, actually, no. What am I thinking? It's Unity. Well, why? Why, Conical? Why? No. So you install Ubuntu desktop, and you get the Unity shell, and it has LibreOffice and all of those GUI programs installed on it. If you install the server version, all you get is the command line. But you can upgrade from the server version to the desktop version by running a specific command, sudo apt-get blah, and then it will go out and actually download that and install that. So that's the only difference. Basically, the difference between the desktop version and the server version is the desktop version has the shell, the graphical shell installed with all the programs, GIMP and OpenOffice and all that. Eli, I want to know if they're... Oh, God. Okay, here's the only thing that I will say. Like I say, one of my only rules with this, because he really will irritate the bejesus out of me, is when you ask a question, if you ask it once, fine. Great. If you ask it twice, because you think I missed it, okay, fine. If you ask it a third time, you're pushing your luck. And, if basically you just copy and paste the same question like 10 or 20 times, it takes me a while to get to questions, guys. If you have asked the exact same question 3 times and I haven't answered it, give up, come back tomorrow. You just plaster this crap on here. Fee or fo-ree. Seriously, you have literally plastered the same damn question like 20 times. Stop! How to be a WordPress troubleshooter. Because when making a web and it get crashed for some reason, it will be a big problem, and WordPress is better than Joomla and e-commerce websites. There's a lot to troubleshoot with WordPress. Basically, you make sure you install good plugins. I don't know, what the hell are you troubleshooting with WordPress? This is not Windows here. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are troubleshooting with WordPress. So let me get to a couple more questions and then we will call it a day. What are your thoughts about a qualified individual that happens to be unemployed 6+ months, and how can he brand himself as viable candidate and separate himself from the competitors? Here's the question. Have you not been getting paid for 6 months, or have you not been working for 6 months? And here's the thing. Here is just the balls out truth of it, right? From the core of my being. I understand if you can't get paid. Again, like I say, life. Bless the spaghetti monster. Life is going well for me right now. But again, I'm like one of those classic folks that. I've spent too much of my life sharing houses with 16 people. So I understand that sometimes you can't get paid. So if you have not been getting paid for 6 months, there is zero shame in that. There's zero shame in that. Sometimes that just happens. Sometimes there are not paying jobs. Sometimes you can't get employed, blah, blah, blah. If you have not been working for 6 months, there is a mountain of shame there. That is completely unacceptable. And so that is one of the things that you need to be looking at and thinking about, is that you need to be working. I don't care if you're getting paid, right? I don't care one iota if you're not getting paid, if you're not getting a dime, you have all the sympathy in the world. If you're not working, that is a travesty, and you're just digging yourself into the worst possible hole. So what I would say is, if you want to separate yourself out, is, as I tell these other folks, go to nonprofit organizations, go to intern. You need to be working 40 hours a week. Because again, like I say, I've been an employer. Like when I write the checks to Tony, that comes out of my Eli the Computer Guy LLC. When I wrote the checks to again and Marcus and Bob and Mia and Jason and Mike and all the other people, that came out of my account. So what I can say is, when I'm an employer and I look at your resume, I'm going to be looking for the experience. I'm going to be looking for what you've done. So if you have on there that you've been a consultant or that you've been doing the administration work for all these nonprofit companies for the past 6 months or year, I'm going to look at that, and that's going to seem reasonable. That's going to be like, okay, I'm not saying you're going to be at the top of the list, right? But that you're still in the running. And I look and I see that basically you've been doing nothing for 6 months. This is one of the problems that again, I voted for Obama before I went, oh my God, what the hell did I do? Is the problem with the long-term unemployment isn't simply that you're unemployed and that you haven't been getting paid. Why the long-term unemployment scares employers, right, is that when we hire people, we need them to get the job done. When I hired Tony, I give him a set of instructions, and he just goes, right? And so once a week for us, we have our little discussion. He tells me what he's accomplished. He tells me the problems he's had, and basically I write him a check. Right? That's what we want out of our employees. And so if I look at your resume and there's a gap of 6 months, stop thinking about the employment aspect. Stop thinking about that I wasn't hired by somebody. What this means is that you do not have the discipline. You do not have the self-motivation to be doing something. That means if I look at your resume and it's blank for 6 months, why that scares the hell out of me is because that means if you are not given instructions, you just sit on your butt. And who the hell wants to employ that? Nobody! Nobody wants to employ that. That is bottom of the barrel. And again, that's where, like I say, with the whole political environment, that's where I really hate, because nobody is talking about this. Nobody is actually having this conversation where, again, it's not about having a job. It's about what are you doing. Do you show me that you have discipline? Do you show me that you have motivation? Do you show me that you will do whatever it takes to get the job done? Or do you show me that as soon as you're fired, you sit on your ass putting out resumes hoping for a job, right? That's what I look at as an employer, is how does this person view the world? Does this person view the world as they create the outcome? Or do they view the world as the outcome just randomly happens to smack them in the head? And again, like I say, the people that will create the outcome are valuable. Valuable. Yeah, maybe not valuable today, right? Maybe $10 an hour today, but when you can pay money, that's good. So that's what I would say. You need to go out there and you need to work. There is every amount of shame if you're not working 40 hours a week. If you are not, because again, this is one of the things everybody talks about. Like, somebody should fix that. Somebody should help. Somebody should do. Somebody should, right? And that's, if you go out there and you prove that you're the somebody, then that's valuable. Because remember that's all we're looking at as employers. What employers are looking at, really and truly, at the end of the day, we have work that has to get accomplished. When we look to hire people, we want to find the people that are most likely to accomplish that work. The people that are self-motivated, the people that are disciplined, the people that just go out there and do it, are the go-getters. They're the ones we want, because they will. You know what I'm saying? So go out there and work. Again, like I say, go to churches, go to nonprofits, House of Ruth, Red Cross, soup kitchens. I don't give half a crap who it's for, but you need to be working 40 hours a week. And if you're not, then get out there and start working 40 hours. Because you're my viewer, and I will not accept laziness from my viewers. The hell are you eating over there? And with that, I think I have proselytized and preached enough for the day. So I will call it a day. Call it a day, eh? So that was our first interview with taped interview, and I think it went pretty well. I think the whole infrastructure worked well. So we are going to go out and get more and more and more and more of these. Because like I say, I think we have a trip probably coming up to Boston in the next month. So that'll be cool. On top of the Spiceworks thing, on top of, I think there's a company in New York I want to go and interview those people at. So I think, again, lots and lots and lots of cool stuff is happening. So do remember, geekbraindump.com. We are accepting your submissions, and this is, again, my attempt to give you guys a place that you can show the world how cool you are. Again, showing people that you have experience working, doing blog posts, whether it's your blog or mine. Basically, this is a place, like I say, if you email me posts at geekbraindump.com, I publish a post for you. Some of you guys are up to like 4 or 5 posts now. And again, this shows that you have experience, right? You may not be getting paid, but when somebody says, what have you been doing for the past couple months? You can say, look, I've done 50 posts on geekbraindump.com. I have been talking about Samba 4. I've been talking about, Linux versus Windows. Look, this is what I have been doing. Again, in the technology world, we get paid based on what we can do. If you want to get paid based on your degrees, you want to get paid based on all that kind of stuff, there are other wonderful professions out there that allow you to do that. For us, it is all about what you do. So if you're not doing anything, there's nothing but bad there. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, enough with the Eli, preachy Eli. I'm going to go do some Kempo tonight. So I'll see you guys 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow when we'll talk about, I don't know, something I will probably figure out about 2 hours before the show begins. I'll see you guys tomorrow.